A couple of problems I've come across with the parts I brought from eBay. This bush here doesn't actually fit into its correct position. It's not the correct size. So I had to buy a new one of these, which cost a bit, which sent me back. And now I think the bearings in here, because Gearbox works, but when I do these, when I've done a dummy assembly, so I've just assembled a few bolts in here and tightened it up, if I loosen it, I can actually turn it. The gearbox works fine, it selects, but when I actually do it up again, it jams up. So I've got a feeling that the bearings are the wrong size as well, so I'm going to have to pull it apart and check the bearing numbers. I should have really done that before I assembled it. I'm hoping somewhere on the internet I can actually find out what the bearing numbers are. Right, so with a bit of googling I've found the bearings that I need. So it's the two bottom lines branding here, so the printouts got a bit smudged, but I'll go and check them now and see if they're the correct bearings. This bearing here doesn't seem to be the correct one. This is the old bearing. You can see the inner race is a lot smaller or thinner than this. I'm not sure if that'll make a difference or not, but I'm not sure if this is the correct bearing or not. So I'm going to pull it out. There's no marking that I can see. This one says LS7. Also, this seems quite thick as well, so I'm going to have to check that as well. I've pushed this bearing out, and apart from about 0.01 to 0.02 of a millimetre, they seem to be identical. So I'll reassemble it, but I'm wondering if this bush is wrong, if this is too thick. Alright, so this part was wrong, which I've covered earlier in the video. I ordered this part and got the replacement. I've checked all the bearings and I've come across another problem. The other Layshaft is incorrect as well. So what I've done is I've put the two halves together, screwed them together. So I've screwed the two together and it's moving quite happily. No issues at all. If I put the Layshaft in, now if I put the Layshaft in, they're turning quite happily. So I split the cart slightly and it's turning quite happily. No issues with the Layshaft in, but when I screw the two halves together, it locks up totally. So what I think's happened, it's definitely the Layshaft. The other Layshaft bush is incorrect as well. I've got a feeling that this lip is too thick. So whoever machined this up, number one, they machined this too small, so the Layshaft won't fit into it. They've sort of machined it down to about here, and they haven't machined it down there, so they must didn't have the tool to do it properly. And they've also machined the other bush too thick here. So I'm going to have to order another bush for the other side now. So it's a bit of a waste of money, but I guess you buy cheap, you buy twice. Taking a measure of the actual lip here, if you can see that, is 150. And the one that was too thick about 180, 1.8. So that's 1.8 millimeter thickness. This is 1.5 millimeter thickness. So that's quite a bit of difference. That already feels better, but I'll screw it together and make sure. Just to make double sure, I'm going to really clamp it down with 2 bolts. It's amazing what difference it makes when you've got proper parts. That's fine now, so I can reassemble the gearbox back again and then test it. Well, the gearbox is reassembled, so I'm going to just check it now. So I'm going to spray heaps of oil on it. Check I can select gears. That's 4th at the moment. Change down. 3rd. I've gone straight to neutral then. Second. Back into neutral. Third, second, neutral, neutral, first. Alright, all gears appear to be selecting. Alright, back into neutral. Alright, so all gears seem to be selecting. It's a lot easier with the cases together to select all the gears, but I managed to select all 4 gears in neutral without any issues, so hopefully it'll be alright. So I'll do these tabs up and put the 2 crankcase halves together. Alright, with the gearbox checked, let's finish this gearbox off now and actually reassemble it. So just tighten these up with the tab washers. seals in. Never used this one before. It's like it's a bit watery. That's the engine assembled, or the two crank halves assembled. Never used this one before. I found it quite runny. It's not what I'm used to, so I'll see how it seals. Everyone raves about how good it is, so I'll see how good it works. So I'll let that set overnight and then move on to the drive side and the alternator side. Get that all finished as well. Thanks for watching.